Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I prepare an open mouth bobcat head, starting with a closed mouth form and adding an insert separately. So up until this point, if you wanted to do an open mouth bobcat, you would have a couple different options. One would be to order a form with the mouth open, which would look like this, except open mouth, but just hollow inside, nothing in there. Then you would install a traditional jaw set inside there. Now this is for a coyote right here, but just as an example, this would be a traditional jaw set that you would put inside that hollow part of the mouth. And it's okay, and you have to do it for some species that, there's no other options for, but you'll find with that method, you have to really build up the lips, recreate a lot of inside the mouth. There's better ways to do it, to work smarter, not harder. And that's what I like to do in my business. So option one, install, a bare bones jaw set and rebuild from there. The other option that has become available more recently is what they call an easy set head. And I don't have an example here on me, but it's offered by McKinsey. And I'm just very honest with people when I say that those are extremely difficult to work with. If you're an absolute beginner and you've never mounted anything in your life, it may help because it kind of gives you the groundwork for that. But it's a plastic head. It has the whole facial structure and the mouth built in. It's ready to go. Zippity zap. I don't like it. I don't like the detail that's in that head, and I actually find it kind of difficult to work with. But so when those were just your two options, though, which one do you choose? Well, I have a better way that I do it, in my opinion. So these are mouth cups that come pre-made. As you see, the lips are on there and the inner mouth, it's completely detailed. We're not going to have to do any resculpting of the jaws or anything to this. But a lot of people will say, what do you do with this? If you don't have a form that comes with its mouth open and molded exactly to accept this insert, you might not know what to do with this. So it's really very simple if you know what to do. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're just going to take this bottom jaw off, open this up, put in this insert, and there is some skill level to it because you want to make sure that you get it lined up just right and don't have the jaws too up or down, or I'll help you through that. But we're going to be using these. This is a Moore mouth cup. It's available in panting and also aggressive. So these are going to be for the more relaxed panting bobcat, which is a real popular option in my shop. And I should point out also that when it comes to those easy set heads I was talking about, that's only available for bobcat in aggressive. So if you want to do a panting bobcat, this is the only way aside from doing the more bare bones jaw set and rebuild. So we're going to be using this head. This is my own change-out head. This is available from Noonkester Taxidermy Supply. This is the 1 3/4 inch size head, but there are several other sizes available too. This gives me the look I'm going for, and this is my rendition of a bobcat, and I think it is very accurate. They are not available in any open mouth version, so it's all closed mouth. We're going to start with this and install this. So if you've never done this before, you can start by holding this up against the side and, just kind of mocking up with a Sharpie where you want to make your cut. I kind of know what I want to do here, so I'm going to go right along the lip line. That's easy enough. We're going to, cut right here like we would if we were tucking a lip. But then I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to think about where that jaw hinges. If you were looking at a skull, you can use that as reference, kind of play along with that, because you got to think where the mouth hinges. The last thing you would want to do is cut it like right here. He's going to have a broken jaw that's broken in half. So we're going to come up into here. It doesn't have to be exact. We mostly just want it to be the same on both sides, or things might get kind of crooked. So I'm going to be cutting a little bit like that. We'll go all the way underneath and then on the other side as well. And I can kind of compare the two sides. Yeah, so you kind of see the idea. We are going to cut off the hinge of the mouth. This is not my preferred knife. I prefer one of those rounded bird's beak knives. but also really good at breaking my favorite knives. So this is what we get here today for this video. At least it is sharp. I just prefer a knife that's actually a little bit shorter than this with a little more of a bend, but we do what we have to do. But I don't want to cut all the way through, just kind of, you know, about halfway through the head, vaguely along this line. See how I'm cutting upwards? I want to kind of open this up just as if it was like an open mouth head form. All right, once we've got it all cut, it's usually pretty easy to kind of come through here sideways and pop this open. I really don't want to break the hinge if I can help it. So I'll go at it from both sides. Usually at this point, I can pry it a little bit, and you see this is how I break my knives. You could pull it out at this point, use like a screwdriver head, but this is about to go right here. Usually it's up in here in this lip that needs a little help. There we go. So he is now an open mouth head. Check that out. Simple enough. So I'm going to set this away to the side for a moment, and let's focus on this. And really all I'm going to be doing is carving up into here to accept this. I think you can see now exactly what we're going for. We'll be setting this down into here. But we got to hollow that out to accept it. So it really helps to kind of just use your knife to go ahead and chip away the bulk of it. You're going to have to carve away in here more than you think to accept that. In fact, the whisker area will be pretty thin by the time we've installed that. So kind of go ahead and get up in there as much as you can. So the use of stout roughers really helps then at this point. We're going to want to flatten this out. As you go along, just test fit it. Yeah, we're going to have to go way further up into there and also cut out some in here. That don't matter. We can always fill this with foam or close that up later. I would rather cut out a little more than a little less. So we're going to have to cut out a lot more in there. Like I said, you'll have to get up into here quite a bit more than you think. If you punch through the whisker area, do not worry. We're going to be filling that with clay anyway. You see, I've cut up into here a bit so that I could access in there. Not a problem. I'm going to be claying all of this. So don't worry about making it look perfect and fancy. Now this is ready to set in here at the proper angle. You can see how that's looking. This angle is good. If you need to compare a skull to it, that helps a lot. Let's take a look at it from the bottom here. You see I have about this much space in between the nose and the front of the mouth. What you do not want is to have it set further back like this. I know that sounds crazy, but I see a lot of mounts that have way too big of a gap in the front. Think about when you're skinning the animal and you go to cut your nose cartilage. There's, you know, usually just about a 1/4 inch right there. So that's a good angle. Now I'm going to set this in with some foam. Now I'm mixing up a very small amount of foam. Bottom jaw is much easier because if you get this set in straight, This can't be crooked because it's attached to everything. We'll basically just be foaming the bottom end. So this to me is the most critical part. We're going to pour in the foam and then watch that this stays straight and even. Starting to rise a little bit here, so I'm going to pour some foam in here, but not a lot because it's not going to take a whole lot. That's why I'm letting it kind of pre-expand a little bit. It helps with it not just squirting out everywhere. Because I can fill in the gaps later. I'm really using this more as a bonding agent. I will set it in there. And I just want to make sure that it is straight from side to side. And that the angle is correct. Even though I can't flip it right side up right now because the foam will come out, I can get a pretty good idea of its symmetry just by looking at it straight on like this. This is where I said I don't worry too much about cutting through the front there, because as the foam rises, I'm going to be filling this in with the foam that's coming right up in there. This is going to lock this jaw set in and make it real sturdy. And if you see a spot where there's a gap, you get you out some of that foam that's still in the cup. But now you're going to just have to watch for it not to rise too much. We don't want to spill inside that jaw set. So as it's rising, I'll use my stick to just kind of scoop it off a little bit, keep it contained. At this point, I can flip it right side up, set it on the table, and that's a real good way to make minor adjustments left or right. It's still spongy enough to move it around. And I can put my finger right here and go left or right, minor adjustments to make sure that it's straight. Now we'll let that set up while we work on the bottom jaw. Bottom jaw is going to be kind of the same concept as the top in that we're just hollowing it out to accept that insert. I'll start by getting the bulk of it out of here. We'll have to do a little bit more sanding on the bottom jaw here because we don't need a whole lot. All right, let's check out how this is going. It's still a little tacky. I always end up cutting some off the end here. I'm not quite ready to attach this yet, but you can see what I'm talking about here. This would give him a big lower lip that's stuck out too far. So go ahead and lop off quite a bit of this. You know, I'm going to be using clay a lot on the face anyway, so we just don't even need a whole lot of this. This foam is still a little tacky here, but that's actually going to help hold that while I test fit this on here. Yeah, I'm going to want to cut a bit more of this out. You can see how that's going. Doesn't mind that there's a hole there. You can use foam or clay in there. We're just having to kind of recut the lower jaw a little bit. So now I'm going to mix up a wee bit more foam, pour it in here. That's going to lock all this in. We'll be about ready to go. This is going to lock it all in really good. And we can also add a little right there on the front. All right, did some sanding to it, and that is pretty much our finished product. Isn't that slick? We've got our jaw set installed, and we started with that closed mouth head, and now it's ready to put on the form and move forward with assembly of the Bobcat. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this helps somebody.